The Western world consumes at least 10 times as much food as the body needs, and then consumes energy to digest that food. That energy, which is used to handle this 9/10 of the surplus food that we take unnecessarily, could be used much more effectively to build up the body. It is a well-known fact that today the Western world eats at least 10 times as much food as is healthful. If we would take life direct, or energy direct from the ethers, we would be adding energy to our bodies all of the time, instead of giving it out to assimilate food. It would go directly to every organ of the body and rebuild and renew it. It is not necessary that one be with a master or contact a master in any sense to understand life and its possibilities. Life is perfectly understandable at every corner of the earth. It is omnipresent, and anyone may contact it if he will turn his attention in that direction and get away from the mere forms which life uses and through which life expresses. If you will take the simple attitude that all the life that you can live is life, and begin to exalt life, you will then be doing what you would do if you were living with them. There is nothing phenomenal regarding their life at all. Usually people go into them look only for phenomena. If we live life, we cannot help but understand life. Life is a process of inward force working itself out into outward form. It is the vital principle of the universe animating all space and all form. So many people have the notion that the masters lay down certain rules for your daily practice, a certain daily regime of mental and physical exercises, but this is not so. There are many who lead out with this sort of teaching, of course, to the point where the student recognizes that he himself is a master. Then the way is open to meet the actual master. The moment that man gets into his mind that there is any life to live other than the one life, he is out of harmony completely. The difficulty is with his mental application always. Man did not fall and die spiritually. He simply got himself out of harmony with life, and this resulted in all his difficulty. The moment life becomes hard, it is not life. That individual is out of life just to the degree that any inharmony develops, and this state should be a warning for him to get back into life as it is. Children are happy because they live life abundantly. They put no limitations upon life whatever. The moment we put limitation upon life, we cease to live abundantly. There is not a limiting condition in life. Life should not limit itself. It could not be kept away except through your own attitude of thought toward it. No two individuals have the same vision of life. It is quite often illustrated in this way. It is said that only children and sages are happy because the child has not developed a material sense of value, and the sage knows that the material has no value. To them, form is not the point of consideration, but living life. One man may look at life through a very narrow opening in a wall. That person says, "I see all of life." The view may face a hill where there is nothing but rocks. The next may see trees. The next one sees animated forms moving about. If we look through but one small opening, we soon hypnotize ourselves into believing that there is no other life within the great expanse of the universe of life. If we would take this attitude alone, see the universe as embodying and expressing the one infinite life, then we would expand our vision to take in all of life, and there would be no limitation whatever for us. The masters never take conscious life. It is not necessary to take conscious life because man can assimilate into his consciousness all of the life elements, bring them into existence in himself, live them, and be always one with them. Consequently, it is not necessary to take conscious life at all. Many people ask the question, why is it that The people of India are afraid of the lower forms of life. Not all people in India are masters, even though they have been taught that there is but one life. They do not see all they have been taught any more than Americans see or live all that they have been taught. There are only a few of the lower classes who are bound in this way because they have been taught to worship these conditions. It is thus that they fear them. And why do the masters not raise the people out of that condition? How could they raise you out of a condition if you would not accept that raising? They cannot inject their own minds into you. They can only show you the path which you have traveled. If you will not see that path, you must make your own way. If you will not see that path, you must make your own until you are ready for a better way. All of the higher caste, even the great Maharajas, work for the better condition of India, but they cannot do the overcoming for the masses, nor transform them into higher beings. That is the work of the individual always. It is a misconception to think that the masters live an ascetic life. We have never found them so living. You will find them in a lion cloth or in the highest walks of life. You will not find them isolated. You will not find them isolating themselves at all. There are a few, a very few, compared to the whole, living in seclusion in order to give out more fully to the whole world certain conditions for betterment. But they are only groups who come together for that specific purpose. They do not live an ascetic life at all. You may see a yogi living an ascetic life for a certain time, for a certain purpose only, but then they never allow asceticism to become hypnotic. Yogi means living for a great experiment. Many of the so-called holy men in India live a complete ascetic life, but usually they are beggars and not masters. A great many of them are as dirty and as filthy as anything you can imagine. They are leechers on humanity and nothing else. But they are not the masters. Just because a man goes about saying mantrams or sitting in samadhi, he is not thereby a master. We have never known of one of these who has reached a high accomplishment begging of anyone, but they are giving all of their time to the betterment of humanity. They do not beg anything to give away even. They have, as they will put it, all that they want, and to spare, always. They do not go around and beg for others to give. They do not organize charitable institutions. They go out and assist all of the time, separating themselves by their accomplishments. There are thousands of people in India who are giving out continually, and yet we have never known any of them to take a penny from anyone. The beggars who call themselves holy men are such only by their own designation. They have nothing to do with the masters. Life is always a matter of giving. To draw on the universal life that flows freely throughout infinite space is the privilege of anyone, and his way of living life should be to receive from this source and then give it out to all who are around him, inspiring them to seek life where he has found it. This is not only the work of the masters, but it is the work all men should be doing. This is living life as it should be lived, and is really the only life there is. To merely receive from those about you is not life at all, but a constant contracting existence. To seek life from the material world is to lose it. And that completes the chapter on life. The next chapter is entitled The Universe. The universe is the sum total of all things visible and invisible that fill infinite space. The universe is the great whole, composed of all its parts. It might be said that the universe is another name for God, for he identified himself as I am that I am, and beside me there is no other. It is the sum of all life, all substance, all intelligence, all power. In it is contained all knowledge, for it is omnipotent. It is the sum of all power, for it is omnipotent. It is the sum of all substance, for out of it are visible things formed.